As you're weaving, you're developing and leaving behind all of these loose ends, these little tails that we started with. If you remember, I encouraged you to leave longer tails because you stop and you work and you move into your other colors. So the reason for that is you're going to need to come back. You're going to need to rethread your needle, put it on, put that little end in there. Now, this particular one, because it's the very first one, you don't want to, you're going to weave it back in and you're just going to do the opposite. But if it's an outside row like that, I would come in, I would do the one under it. And you are going to have two pieces of thread touching, and we're going to push them together so you can't see them. And so you're going to pull that through there. Don't pull too tight. Pull it off, and then you're going to cut that off, and then you're going to take your beater and you're going to push it together. So that you don't see where those are put together. The shorter they are, the harder that can be. So if you go and you put it on there, then you'll notice that there's no way, you pull it back and you're losing that off of there. So another way to do that, and when you have two colors that meet, you can go below that row or you can go above that row. It's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this above. So I'm going to get my needle in first. Then after I pull my needle through, then I can take my end, put it through the eye of my needle, and then hope that that pulls through okay. Sometimes you have to hold your weaving while you work to do that. And then sometimes I'm finding that, as you see, I'm twisting to pull that through to get that to come out. And you can see that that's a little bit of a struggle for that. All right, pull that on out. And then same thing again, you're cutting it at the surface. Once you've woven it in, you're going to cut it at the surface of your weaving, and then you're going to push those rows together to hide that. When you have two colors, again, you can do that below or above. Sometimes if they're small sections, you may want to do them above if they're, find that opening. And then the same thing, you're going to weave between those rows. And the smaller they are, the fewer sections that you have, and you pull it through. Now, I do have smaller needles. If you do have it really tight, we can use those if needed. They're just a smaller eye, so it's going to be more of a challenge with the yarn. Now, this one, when they're in the middle and you've got all of your colors together, you can see how small that is. It's going to be really difficult to weave back in. So again, you're just going to go ahead, get it started, and then pull your needle through. Put your yarn through the eye of your needle as best as you can. And then pull it through. And because the rows are tight, this is why I was saying if it's too tight, you can always get a smaller needle with a smaller eye, but they usually can be pulled through with a little effort or a little twisting. Don't leave it on the outside though. Leave it so that it's locked into the middle, and then cut that off. Same thing when you get ready to do whatever color that it is. Remember, you can always go above or below that row. You're just going to have to do the opposite. And this one, I can pull it all the way through to where I really don't have much of a tail. But that's how you're going to lock all those together and weave those. And I would do about 1/4 of an inch, get your rows going. And I would not do this until you have quite a bit of weaving done. And then you see how small that particular one is there. I'm just going to cut that at the surface there. Don't forget that you are to take and push your rows together. So if you are seeing too much of your warp, then you're not pushing and beating your rows together tight enough. So even if you want to see more of the warp at the top, just remember to do that as well.